Hey everybody, Shadok here from SynergisticGaming. I am about to begin my new PC build. At the beginning of this video, I'm just going to be showing you guys the parts that you need to make a computer. This won't be a step-by-step guide though. You should see a link to a step-by-step guide up on the video right now. You can click that if you need to learn how to build a computer. This is just for people that are interested in gaming computers and they want to see what kind of parts you need. The parts list will be in the description, but basically on the left I have my graphics card. Then you see that white package is my operating system disk in there. Behind that is a 750 watt power source. Above that I have my RAM, and then to the right of that I have an SSD. An SSD is a type of memory. You don't need an SSD. It's more expensive, but it's faster. So then to the right a little in front of I have a top fan for my case because my case has space for an extra fan, which I'm going to take advantage of. In front of that you see my HDD, which is another type of memory. It's cheaper, so I'm using that for storage. That's bigger than my SSD. My SSD is going to be for putting games on so they load faster. Not all my games though, just the ones that I want to load faster, and also my operating system so that my computer will start and stop faster, like turn it on and off faster. Behind that big box is my case. The small blue box to the right of the fan is my CPU. To the right of that I have my motherboard, and then all the way to the right we have my disk drive. So basically the things you need, just run through one more time if you want to build a computer. For a gaming computer you need a graphics card. It's not necessary in all builds. If you're not a gamer then you're not going to want to get a really expensive one like I did. So the graphics card, an operating system, a power source, RAM, memory, a case, CPU, motherboard, and then a disk drive. So now I'm going to go build this thing and I will show you guys how it came out. Alright, so this is the inside of the computer after the build. I've already tested it out. I've tested all the parts out. Nothing was DOA. Everything was working. Everything's going great. I'm really happy with how this thing runs. So I already said this isn't going to be a step-by-step, but I will tell you what I did, even though I'm not showing each step, obviously, because the build's already done. First off, I mounted my power supply unit right down here. I have the Corsair HX 750, which is a 750 watt power supply, which is good for gaming. It's fine to power all my parts, no problems there. Basically, there will be screws on the back of the case with an opening, and you just screw the 4 screws into the back of the case, and then there's the opening back here for you to plug your power supply in, and there's a vent. And that's pretty much it. You have all these cables right back here coming off of the power supply, and those are used to power pretty much everything in the computer other than the fans. So that's power supply unit. Next I took my motherboard and I mounted everything to it. Right here, this is the heatsink. Right underneath that is the CPU. I had one of the new Ivy Bridge i7 quad-core CPUs, and that's not a third-party aftermarket heatsink. That's the one that came with it, because I'm not going to be doing any overclocking or anything right now. If you're not going to be overclocking, you don't really need a new heatsink right away. Since it came with the CPU, there was a thermal compound right on the bottom of this, so after I mounted the CPU, all I had to do was snap that fan down into place. Make sure it has nice firm contact with the CPU, because it needs to be taking the heat off of that because it's going to get really hot. And then to the right you see the RAM. You probably can't really see it behind all these cables, but there's just 4 sticks of RAM. They snap right down on the motherboard. You push them in, they only go in one way and they snap down. And then after I did that, there will be 6 or 9 holes. It really depends on your motherboard. For screws, this had 9. There will be plenty of holes for the screws on the back of the case, and you just put down these brass standoffs into the case, which basically just make it so that the motherboard is kept away from the side of the case so it doesn't touch the side of the case. And then you screw it in. So I screwed the motherboard into the case, and then the next thing I did was I put in my graphics card. For my graphics card, I have a GeForce GTX 680. You can see right here, this big thing right here is the graphics card. You have to take a couple slots off of the back of the case right here. They just screw right out so that you have the ports to plug your monitor into the graphics card. So they pop out right back here. Then you just snap this down into place and screw it in. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. And the next I had right back here was my disk drive. Once again, it's very easy. I just had to pop one of the little covers off the front of the case and then push the disk drive in and put 2 screws into the side, or 4 screws, sorry. The screws are right here. So just lined up the screw holes and screwed it in. It's very simple. Next up, I had my memory. I have right here an SSD, my solid state drive. So I put that right up here. You just screw it to the little tray, snap the tray into place, and then you plug it in through cables on the back, on the other side of the case. You can have it going either way. I just did it this way so that it would be easier to manage my cables. Then down here I have my Western Digital Black Caviar 1 terabyte HDD, which is what I'm going to be pretty much storing everything in. The SSD is only going to be for my operating system and a couple of games, because I have a 128 gigabyte SSD because solid state drives are expensive per gigabyte than the 1 terabyte HDD for everything else. And after that, I forgot to mention, right up here I have my my extra fan, because my case had space for an extra fan or liquid cooling if I wanted, so I just put an extra fan up there. I did that before the motherboard. You just basically have to look and figure out what order you need to put things in, because if I had done my motherboard first, it would have been a huge pain in the ass to try to get that fan in. So I did the fan first right up here, just screwed it to the top of the case pretty much. And after that, all I really had to do was plug everything in. Everything has its own place to get plugged into the motherboard. You can look at your manual for your motherboard and it'll tell you where everything goes pretty much. Pretty self-explanatory, things are labeled, and then you need to plug everything into the power supply. And a couple of things from the case need to go into the motherboard too, like the power button, LED for the power button, so things light up, just basically all the things for your buttons and your USB cable ports. It's pretty simple. It's like putting together a big puzzle pretty much. It's not that hard to do. You have manuals to tell you how to do everything if you get confused at all. So that's pretty much it. That covers the whole build. I'll show you guys what the computer looks like with the case closed up now and with the computer turned on. So here it is with the case closed up. I'll turn it on. Turn that light off. And I'll just give you guys a closer look at everything. There is inside the case. Up top, that's that extra fan I was talking about. And the fan has LEDs built in. Here's the back. As you can see, it has spots for liquid cooling. If you want to do liquid cooling, the tubing can go out right there. Not like there's really much to see back here, but then let's go around to the front. We turn the case a little bit. So that's the front. It is definitely a good looking case. You have all those ports right up here. And then this is actually a little door that opens up to the disk drive. That's a fan right there with the LED vents. And then the other side of the case is just plain. That pretty much wraps it up. So that is my new PC. Thanks for watching. Once again, I will have a list of parts right in the description. If you have any questions about any of the parts I used, about the build, about building a computer in general, or anything really, feel free to leave a comment. This has been Shadok from SynergisticGaming. Thanks for watching, guys.